You're listening to Underground USA News.
Tuesday, August 25, 2025. In appointed rebuke, Supreme Court Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh have cautioned lower court judges against defying established high court precedents in cases involving former President Trump's administration, emphasizing the judiciary's duty to uphold the rule of law. Their remarks, stemming from a 5-4 decision allowing the Trump administration to terminate nearly $800 million in National Institutes of Health grants tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, underscore a growing concern over lower courts' disregard for Supreme Court rulings. Gorsuch, joined by Kavanaugh, wrote that lower courts must not sidestep precedent by citing dissenting opinions or overturned decisions, particularly in cases mirroring prior rulings, such as the earlier approval to cut similar teacher training grants. This admonition reflects a commitment to judicial consistency and respect for the Supreme Court's authority, signaling a firm stance against judicial overreach in politically charged cases. On August 25, 2025, U.S. District Court Judge Paula Zinnes, appointed by President Obama, issued a temporary restraining order blocking the Trump administration from deporting Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, an alleged MS-13 gang member, to Uganda. This decision follows Garcia's earlier deportation to El Salvador's Sikot prison and subsequent return to the U.S., ordered by left-leaning judges. Despite his criminal history and illegal status, the ruling, which sets an evidentiary hearing for Friday, cites potential violations of due process and questions the legality of deporting Garcia to a country where he claims fear of persecution. Critics argue this reflects a pattern of judicial interference undermining immigration enforcement, while supporters of the decision emphasize the need for a thorough legal review to protect individual rights. President Trump announced the termination of Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook on August 25, 2025, citing allegations of mortgage fraud as the basis for her removal. The decision, detailed in a letter posted on social media, follows claims by Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Polk that Cook made false statements on mortgage applications, including conflicting claims about primary residences in Michigan and Georgia. Cook, appointed by President Joe Biden in 2022, has denied the allegations and vowed to challenge the firing, asserting that Trump lacks the legal authority to remove her without cause. This unprecedented move has sparked debate over the independence of the Federal Reserve and may face legal challenges, potentially reaching the Supreme Court. Chicago's ongoing crime wave, marked by a bloody weekend where 6 people were killed and 27 were injured in shootings, has prompted some residents to support President Trump's proposal to federalize the city's police force, following the model of his successful Washington, D.C. intervention, which saw 12 homicide-free days. Locals like Danielle Carter-Walters from Marquette Park express frustration over rampant violence, including robberies and carjackings, and see federal action as a necessary step to restore safety despite opposition from city officials who downplay the crisis. Critics argue that local leadership has failed to address the root causes, leaving communities desperate for solutions, as Chicago continues to lead the nation in homicides. President Trump's administration is reportedly considering the establishment of a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force, composed of approximately 600 National Guard troops aimed at swiftly deploying to American cities to manage protest or civil unrest. This initiative, intended to maintain law and order, has sparked debate, with supporters viewing it as a proactive measure to address rising crime in urban areas, while critics express concerns about potential overreach. The force would be strategically split between bases in Alabama and Arizona for rapid response, reflecting the administration's focus on bolstering public safety amid ongoing tensions in cities like Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles. In a concerning display of heightened military activity, the North American Aerospace Defense Command intercepted Russian surveillance aircraft near Alaska's Air Defense Identification Zone for the second day in a row on August 24, 2025. The incidents involved Russian Il-38 maritime patrol aircraft, which were detected and monitored by NORAD's fighter jets in international airspace, though they did not breach U.S. or Canadian sovereign territory. This follows a pattern of increased Russian aerial operations near North American border, raising questions about Moscow's intentions amid ongoing global tensions. U.S. and Canadian forces remain vigilant with NORAD, emphasizing its commitment to defending North American airspace against potential threats. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is exploring a controversial redistricting plan that could eliminate the state's sole Republican congressional seat, currently held by Representative Andy Harris, in response to Republican-led redistricting efforts in states like Texas. Moore, a Democrat, has stated that all options are on the table to counter what he describes as a partisan power grab, comparing it to past election controversies. Critics, including Harris, argue this move could sever Maryland's bipartisan connection to the White House and further polarize the state's already gerrymandered congressional map, which currently favors Democrats with 7 of 8 seats. This development is part of a broader national redistricting battle, with states like California and New York also weighing retaliatory map changes ahead of the 2026 midterms, raising concerns about fairness and voter representation. In response to a tragic August 12, 2025 crash on Florida's Turnpike that claimed 3 lives, caused by an undocumented truck driver's illegal U-turn, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier announced that all state truckway stations will now serve as federal immigration checkpoints. This decisive action aims to enhance road safety by verifying commercial drivers' immigration status, English proficiency, and license validity with Florida's Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services officers, now fully certified under the federal 287G program, collaborating with ICE to target criminal illegal aliens. The move, praised by state and federal officials, reflects Florida's commitment to protecting its citizens from the dangers posed by unchecked immigration, while sparking varied reactions among truck drivers. U.S. Representative Sheila Cherfilus McCormick, Democrat from Florida, is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for allegedly funneling $5.8 million in mispaid taxpayer funds through her company, Trinity, to finance her 2021 and 2022 congressional campaigns, which secured her a narrow victory by just 5 votes in the 2021 primary. The scheme reportedly involved her family members, including her husband, brother, parents, and sister-in-law, with Trinity paying Cherfilus McCormick $6.2 million in profit-sharing fees, of which $4.2 million was loaned to her campaigns. The Florida Division of Emergency Management accused Trinity of theft through conversion of these funds, leading to a settlement requiring repayment of $5.6 million over 15 years. Watchdog groups, including the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, have filed complaints with attorney Dan Backer, calling the scheme unprecedented and urging prosecution for fraud and embezzlement. In a revelation that underscores the need for greater transparency in charitable giving, celebrities including Leonardo DiCaprio and Katy Perry raised millions in 2018 to aid California wildfire victims, only for a significant portion of the funds to be redirected toward programs benefiting illegal immigrants and nonprofits exclusively serving Black and brown communities, rather than providing direct relief to all affected residents. This allocation, managed through the California Community Foundation's Wildfire Relief Fund, prioritized equity-focused initiatives amid the Camp Fire's devastation in Paradise, where traditional aid efforts could have offered broader support to hardworking families regardless of background. While the foundation defends the decisions as aligning with community needs, critics argue it exemplifies how good intentions can veer into ideological favoritism, alienating donors and taxpayers who expect aid to be merit-based and inclusive. Such diversions highlight ongoing conservative concerns about accountability in philanthropy, urging reforms to ensure funds reach those hit hardest by natural disasters without partisan strings attached. Recent reports suggest that ChatGPT, the popular AI chatbot developed by OpenAI, may be covertly leveraging Google search data to enhance its responses, prompting concerns about user privacy and data transparency. According to investigations, OpenAI has been accessing publicly available web data, including Google search results, to train and refine ChatGPT's language model, a practice that some argue lacks sufficient disclosure to users. While OpenAI maintains that its data collection aligns with industry standards and prioritizes user privacy, Critics contend that the integration of external search data could inadvertently expose sensitive user information. This development has sparked a broader debate about the ethical boundaries of AI training methods and the need for stricter oversight in how tech companies handle consumer data. A powerful haboob, a towering wall of dust propelled by fierce thunderstorm winds, swept through Metro Phoenix on August 25, 2025, plunging the city into near darkness and causing significant disruptions. The storm, which followed a similar event at Nevada's Burning Man Festival, brought near-zero visibility, grounded flights at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and left over 60,000 residents without power, primarily in Maricopa County. Strong winds reaching up to 70 miles per hour damaged infrastructure, including a terminal roof at the airport, while heavy rain and flash flooding compounded the chaos, prompting warnings from the National Weather Service to avoid driving. Residents described harrowing experiences, pulling over as the storm overwhelmed their vehicles, highlighting the raw power of nature in Arizona's monsoon season. Poland's decision to cease funding Ukraine's Starlink satellite internet service after October 1, 2025, following President Karol Nawrocki's veto of a bill extending aid through the Ukraine Aid Fund, has sparked significant concern about Ukraine's communication capabilities in its ongoing conflict with Russia. The veto, criticized by Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski as a gift to Putin's forces, eliminates the legal basis for continued financial support, potentially disrupting critical battlefield communications and drone coordination reliant on Starlink's infrastructure. While some argue the veto reflects a cautious approach to Poland's fiscal responsibilities and domestic priorities, others warn it could weaken Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression, highlighting the delicate balance between national interests and international support. This development underscores the need for alternative funding solutions to ensure Ukraine's access to vital technology. Tensions on the Korean peninsula have surged following an incident where South Korean forces fired over 10 warning shots at North Korean soldiers who briefly crossed the demilitarized zone during a border reinforcement project. North Korea condemned the action as a deliberate provocation, warning of potential retaliation, and accusing Seoul of risking uncontrollable conflict. This clash, the second of its kind this year, coincides with ongoing U.S.-South Korea joint military exercises which Pyongyang has long criticized as rehearsals for invasion. South Korea's new leadership under President Lee Jae-myung has expressed intentions to reduce tensions, but the continued presence of U.S. forces and provocative drills complicates de-escalation efforts, raising concerns about further military confrontations. Russia has launched the Project 22,350 frigate Admiral Emilko, dubbed the Sea Terminator, a formidable warship armed with Circon hypersonic missiles capable of striking enemy submarines and aircraft carriers from vast distances. This advanced vessel, equipped with 24 missile cells and the Otvit anti-submarine system, enhances Moscow's maritime strength, signaling a robust counter to U.S. naval dominance, particularly in response to American Arleigh Burke-class destroyers deploying Tomahawk missiles. Russian military expert Alexander Stepanov emphasized its ability to neutralize high-value targets, reinforcing Russia's strategic presence in global waters, amid rising tensions with NATO and ongoing regional disputes, such as with Japan over the Kuril Islands. This development underscores Russia's commitment to advancing its blue water navy capabilities, potentially altering the balance of power in critical maritime regions. China's unveiling of its fifth polar icebreaker, the JITI, marks a significant expansion of its Arctic and Antarctic ambitions, signaling a growing challenge to Western influence in these geopolitically sensitive regions. The 15,000-ton vessel, equipped with advanced scientific and military capabilities, underscores Beijing's intent to secure resource-rich polar territories and assert dominance in global maritime routes, particularly the Arctic's Northern Sea route. Analysts warn that China's rapid polar buildup, including research stations and satellite networks, could tilt the balance of power in these regions, prompting calls for the U.S. and allies to strengthen their own polar capabilities to counter this strategic push. While China frames its efforts as scientific, the dual-use potential of its icebreakers raises legitimate concerns about its long-term intentions in the high north and south. in a development underscoring the persistent threats posed by foreign intelligence operations. German prosecutors have charged a U.S. citizen with attempting to spy for China, alleging he gathered sensitive information on military technology and passed it to Beijing's representatives. The individual, identified as a former employee of a German defense firm, reportedly tried to recruit insiders and transmit classified data through covert channels, highlighting vulnerabilities in Western alliances against authoritarian regimes. This case follows a pattern of increasing Chinese espionage activities in Europe, where economic espionage has targeted high-tech sectors, prompting calls for stronger safeguards to protect national security without undermining global trade relations. Authorities emphasize that swift legal action is essential to deter such intrusions and maintain the rule of law. In a decisive move to strengthen its defense capabilities, Australia has committed $10 billion to develop advanced drone and counter-drone systems, signaling a robust response to evolving global threats. The investment, announced by Defense Minister Richard Marles, aims to enhance the nation's military preparedness through cutting-edge autonomous technology, including surveillance and strike drones, as well as systems to neutralize enemy unmanned aerial vehicles. This strategic initiative reflects Australia's commitment to maintaining a strong, self-reliant defense posture amid rising geopolitical tensions in the Indo-Pacific region, ensuring the protection of national interests and sovereignty.
You're listening to Underground USA News,